All right, here's another email. Dear Kurt, hello Kurt. I want to say first of all, I am perfectly happy for you to read the entire. My sigh there was not a sigh of exasperation from reading email. It's just an aside from the fact that it's still really hot and I've been walking for hours, so my body's that way. I'm perfectly happy for you to read the entirety or select parts of this message in a video, including the details I'm about to share with you, if you do so wish. I am Thomas, aged 18 and from the United Kingdom. I have been watching your videos for about a year now, and I'm very much enjoying all of the adventures, stories, advice, and energy that goes into your videos. Personally, I thank you for the hours of entertainment and valuable insight that you have provided me with. I really admire your character and vision. I too hope that one day I can be as good a person and father as you. Thank you very much. My question for you, and I like your ambition, you know. Gosh, like I've said in an earlier video today, if you were my son and you said your ambition in life was to be a good person and a good father, I would say, gee, you're aiming in a wonderful direction. My question for you today, my friend, is about employment. I am just about to enter the heavily saturated job market for the first time. Being a sufferer of social anxiety, I am very nervous about applications, interviews, and progressing past the minimum wage. I just finished the British version of community college, 6th form, and I have a fair few qualifications. I love the way you Brits talk and write. We Americans would never say a fair few. It's beautiful. I have only just today withdrawn my university application, as I do not believe university is right for me. Interesting. I got another email that just a moment ago that from someone kind of like someone older than me that I greatly respect, who was saying something similar. I don't think university is right for me, despite having adequate repeat that again, it's important. I have only just today withdrawn my university application, as I do not believe university is right for me. Despite having adequate qualifications for jobs, I believe my social skills are getting in the way. I think that's what you said. I think the wording was a little off there, but I think that's what you meant. Despite having qualifications, your social skills are getting in the way of your succeeding at university. Is that what you mean? I also have no idea of what career I desire the most. That's a common problem at your age. A lot of people have that. And, 10 years ago I might have said that was a good thing, but I'm not so sure anymore. For me, that uncertainty has led to not a bad life, but certainly not. I could not vocationally a successful life as it might have had I started on a career path, like say chose to become an engineer, an education path to become an engineer, and then a career path built upon that. I probably would be in a better. My financial household would be in better state. My career might be more secure and more rewarding than it currently is now had I done that. So the uncertain liberal arts young adult that I used to admire, and I was, certainly had some benefits in terms of diversity and opportunity. But in some ways, some of us never get past that alone. We remain our entire lives seeking after more diversity and missing lots of opportunities. Maybe I need to rethink this stuff. What I would like to know from yourself is your own history of employment, what jobs you've had in the past, what you enjoyed and didn't enjoy, how to get the most out of employment, and basic reassurance, because I can't talk to my parents about work without them ranting, understandably, about university. The thought of working 8 to 6, day in, day out for the rest of my life to make ends meet is turning me into something of a nihilist. I would also like to hear about your experience in running your own business, as I believe running my own business is my only hope of living a satisfying and independent life. Also, do you ever plan on restarting your business someday? Anyways, thank you very much. I hope this message wasn't too long. I also hope that you continue to make videos when you move to the States, and best of luck doing so. Please take care. I wish you all the best, Mr. Bell. Thank you. Sincerely, Thomas. Okay, let's talk about, you want to hear my work history? Okay, I'll keep it as annotated as possible. Not annotated, but truncated as possible, because it's been a long and circuitous one. My earliest jobs were mostly just whatever I could find in my early teens. Labor jobs, day labor jobs, picking onions in an onion field, digging ditches, working in farms, cherry farms and stuff like that. I lived out in the country and did that kind of stuff, and I enjoyed. That was good stuff at that point in my life. Very physical, very weighty, heavy, dirty, difficult, low-paying stuff, including the summer I spent working with migrant workers in the fields out in the lower part of the California's Imperial Valley. I think it's called the Imperial. Is that what it is? The big one, the Imperial Valley there? I can't remember. And that opened my eyes to what people who could cross into America, illegally to find work, and we're grateful to make next to nothing in really difficult working conditions. And I was one of them for a while, and that kind of gave me an understanding of what it's like at that level, and everything from there has been measured and kind of set. I'm trying to avoid saying set the standard at the low point, but in terms of money, security, and benefits, it certainly was a low point. So it gave me something in that capacity. So I certainly recommend or a period of hard labor in your life. From there, it was my dad helped me through junior college and gave me some money when I was in an emergency state, and a few times during university. But for the most part, when I transferred to university, I was taking care of myself, getting myself through school. And one of the things I did was, and I paid him back that money in the end. So I guess I can say I put myself through school. I avoided student loans in that capacity. But one of the things that I did, speaking of businesses, I started a series of my own businesses. The very first one of which was a firewood business, where I borrowed my dad's big stake bed truck, and I would go up into the woods. And I don't know, I was probably doing it illegally. I was from the Angeles National Forest, and I was gathering wind-felled trees, dead trees. Probably can't do this anymore. And chopping them up and selling them as firewood, selling by the cord. I'm doing that with a friend of mine, David Hall. He and I would do that, and that business was doing all right. We were making money at that. The second business of my own was a seaweed chewing tobacco business. I was going to a high school out in the country, and a lot of the boys chewed tobacco, and it was highly addictive, and we had a hard time quitting. So to help myself, I was a diver. Even though I was living in the desert, I would go down to San Pedro. I was helping. This was another job that I had. It was a volunteer job at the time on the weekends. I was helping at the Greater Los Angeles Council of GLACD, Greater Los Angeles Council of Divers, making underwater maps, underwater cartographer. I was learning how to make maps underwater, scuba diving. We were documenting hydrothermal vents. Like the stuff you find in the abyss, where there's that chemosynthesis, that opposite of this photosynthesis that goes on here. Chemosynthesis is life coming from the heat, getting energies from the heat of the earth from the inside. And while I was doing that, I would gather the seaweed, take it back to the desert, lay it out and dry it, and then chop it up, and I would take a tin of Copenhagen chewing tobacco after I'd done with it, and I would fill it up with chopped up seaweed, dried seaweed. And when all my buddies were putting more Copenhagen dip in their gum, I would take a pinch of that dried seaweed, and it tasted really good. It tasted like the ocean, and it actually helped me to quit chewing tobacco. And after a while, my buddies tried it, and they wanted some more, so I set up a little business selling cans of seaweed chewing tobacco. In high school. I never did that venture in earnest. The next business I started was a window washing business called KB Window Washing. I took $25, went down to a janitorial supply store, bought myself a squeegee, 2 squeegees, a big one, long one, and a small one, a couple of rags, and a bucket, plus a thing of detergent. You can get a lot for $25. Then I spent another $25, and I had a bunch of flyers made. KB Window Washing, Kurt Bell Window Washing. I'd do any house, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house for I think it was $25 or so, something like that. I can't quite remember the amount. And at first it took me about 2 or 3 hours, and I got it down to about 90 minutes. It was good money at the time. And I would scatter those flyers around all over the place, and I had more business than I could deal with. Word of mouth spread. all these tract homes, so in Southern California. And that, of all the things I've done, that business was probably the one that if I could go back and target a business to start to focus on, or some endeavor in my life, that would be the one. I would go back and because the guy that the janitorial supply place, he was encouraging me to build a business. He was saying, you can build this into an enterprise, get to the point very, very easily. Like within months, I could have been hiring people and had a dispatch route, and I had so many regular customers, and expand and have this window cleaning service. And I'm sure if I had kept that up, if I had kept at that at this point in my life, and done that all through my life, I'm pretty sure I would probably be in a nice situation, possibly even retired, with having sold the business. It was really, that was a gold. That was my closest to a real gold mine that I've ever encountered. And I restarted that business again after I went to university. I ran into some trouble financially at university, in a whole new community, different part of the state of California, and ran into some trouble. So guess what? I still had my squeegees with me in my bucket. I carried them with me. And I did the same thing. Got the flyers, sent out the things, and restarted my business. And the same thing happened twice. So I know it's a viable business model. Let's go this way. So that was that. And when I got to college, university, I did a variety of jobs, all kinds of stuff. Mainly washing dishes, bus boy. Tried waitering once, but I was terrible at it because I couldn't remember the orders. And then the most inglorious job that I ever had, a stripper. I was a male stripper for one night. I didn't take it all off. I just got down to my marble sack, and that was an event. That's for another video someday. I ended up stripping at a lumber yard, and I forgot to bring something to cover myself up, and walking through the lumber yard with my cuffs and bow tie and my marble sack and a bunch of balloons and all the lumberjacks hooting and hollering at me. One night, good money, but one night. But remember, I didn't take it all off. Boy, so there was that. And then after that, kept up with the window washing. Kept up with the dishwashing. Got a job in Japan. Came over to Japan. Taught English for a couple of years, and went back to the States. Landed a job working as an instructor for disabled adults. I worked there for 4 years. A place called Project Independence in Carpinteria, California. Worked with a great group of people, and my clients, the six clients I worked with, Jose, Diane, Bill, Sylvia, and did I get everybody there? Neil. I think I got everybody there. These people changed my life. Severe cerebral palsy. Talk about having a challenge in life. And my job was to help them to become a little more independent. I was young still. I was, full of myself. I wasn't really focusing on what I was doing as much. I didn't do as good a job as I could do now. I feel bad about that. But boy, that was a good 4 years. Good 4 years. And, it's always those more humble jobs. Terrible pay. It wasn't terrible. It was, living where I did in Santa Barbara at the time, you could hardly get by. But we did, and I learned a lot in those years. So from there, I wound up starting my own business, called the Little Harbor, where I made toy sailboats, replicas of 19th century sailing vessels, and they were actually working things. They had all the good stuff, and I just made them out of my head. I would see pictures of these old things and draw them up, and then get in a little wood shop. I started that after my dad died, and he didn't leave us a whole lot, but he left some woodworking material, some saws and some stuff, and I had them in my little apartment there in Santa Barbara, and I thought, it's a shame to let this stuff go to waste, so I taught myself how to I'd never used woodworking tools. I taught myself how to use it, and before long I was making boats, and I quit my job at with the disabled people, and I had my little shop in Santa Barbara behind this established cabinet maker's place down in Santa Barbara, and I made that all just flop failure. I had $10,000 seed money for that business. Just blew that money. I had no concept of business whatsoever, and that was the worst failure business-wise in terms of everything. That was the first time I almost brought my wife and I onto the streets, running out of money. I got lucky. My friend Joel landed me an interview I had no tech background, no computer background at all. He landed me an interview at America Online, or not America, it was something called the Navisoft. And they had two products, NaviPress and NaviServer. And they had just been purchased by AOL. We had a new guy, manager, come in, and he was ramping up and staffing up. And Joel recommended me, and I remember I went in to interview with this guy. His name was Sheldon. And I guess I give good interview. Let's walk through the temple. At one point he said, you know, my resume had no tech. He said, I guess I really should test you out a little bit, you know, but you can probably handle this, right? And I said, yeah, I can handle it. It's for a QA job, testing software. I had no idea what I was doing. I got the job. That was the start of the roller coaster ride up. Yeah, I steep learning curve for a while there, that job. Oh, we're going through there's kids up there. I don't want to do that. Let's go through the temple. Yeah, let's go through the temple. So that was the start of that. I was with Navisoft for probably 6 to 8 months when I found an opportunity in. I remember what was happening. They got purchased, and then AOL went public. My friend Joel and his contemporaries who had joined that company at the same time became wealthy overnight, because this was the very start of the dot-com bubble. And they became wealthy overnight, and I got in too late, so I missed that boat. So I thought maybe there's another, maybe I can hit a tech bubble somewhere else. I kind of really wasn't thinking that way. That's not what I was thinking. No, I wasn't thinking that. I said that wrong. I was thinking, my potential here is limited. I need to find another company that's just starting out, because this one had already gotten to the point kind of just starting out where I can flex my wings. That was really the thought that was in my mind. So I did a newspaper search, found this company called software.com. Let's go into this temple. And remember interviewing in their basement there in Santa Barbara under a bookstore with Trent, the vice president of human resources. Turns out like just about everybody there was a vice president, because it would have been the brainchild of the founder, John McFarland, and his partner. And they had called in all of their college buddies to round out the executive staff, and it was just a bunch of 20-somethings. They all had VP. The lowest title there was VP. I was one of the first persons that was a regular grunt in the company, and I was older than most of them as well. And so anyway, part of the deal was I got this software. I got these stock options, which you can see a video called How I Lost $1 Million over on the YouTube Bullet Train channel. Explains that whole ride. But anyway, that was software.com/openwave years. That's where I got my technical skills. I stayed there. I was in that gig for more than 7 years. Learned some technical stuff there. Then quit that. Came to Japan. Spent a year studying Japanese, just doing that. And then I started my antique business. Did that for 5 years. Failed at that when was doing good. My business was doing good. When the economy collapsed in 2007, so did my business, so did my fortune, so did my sense of pride, my ego, my inflated sense of accomplishment. All that stuff was gone. And I wound up doing the Eikaiwa thing. The low, starting at the bottom on the low end of teaching English here in Japan. But some hard work there, my last bits of energy, so to speak, and I managed to land my current job, which is a great job. I work as an ALT, assistant language teacher, for a private school here in Japan, K-12 school. They treat me great. They are great. I mean, the way they treat me, I'm kind of a burnout now. I'm trying to recover, trying to get back on my feet. Look at this place. It's nice. I will confess that I am a bit of a burnout. That's the hardest part at this point. Oh, look, there's a bata, dream eater up there. The one on the left. You don't see those so often anymore. Big temple. So anyway, did that. I'm there now. And now I'm getting ready to go back to the States. Hopefully if I can land a job and prove that I'm not a burnout, and hopefully have a renaissance of energy. I'm in much better shape now. And my problem in Japan really isn't about burnout. It's about that I just don't function well in a work environment in Japan. I don't function. I don't do Japan in terms of thought mentally. I can't fit in. Japan is a round hole, and I'm a square peg in every sense of the word. I just can't function in the business sense here. So I need to get back to the States. And I think that in an environment like that, I've got more vital now than I was in my 20s. I think I'll be 20s. I think I'll be okay. And also, I think I'm more mature now, and I'm more mellowed and seasoned. It's a good time for me. This is a good time of life. Let's go across this pond to the surface. Big koi over there. Let's go here to the surface. End of summer garden. So that brings my history to an end. Okay, so what can I offer from that? Well, I can offer that this life experience so to date has included manual labor, wiping people's butts, working for a minimum wage, the experience of education, of being a self-starter in some ways, the initiative. Let's walk through the garden here. The initiative of starting one's own business, the experience of success and wealth, and of failure multiple times, and hitting rock bottom and having to, literally getting close to living on the streets, bringing my family onto the streets, and the incredible depression. You want to talk about having your life, man, toiling in the field, having your mind pulled through I don't want to disturb him. I'll be quiet for a second. こんにちは。暑いね。この山道どこまで？ここはどこまで？ありがとう。すみません。What a nice man. I asked him where this trail went, but he just kind of smiled at me. Ooh, froggy. Froggy. You can do this in Japan. I'm not trespassing. Little trails like this, they're kind of like little right-of-ways to the fields. In this community, at least, my wife tells me, it's no problem. This is how the villagers get from one part to the other. So anyway, I would recommend the whole thing. If you're asking me what I would recommend, I would recommend, whatever your life follows. Let's temper that a little bit with what I said at the start, which is that probably makes sense to have a career path. Probably makes sense to have an educational goal. Probably makes sense to be safe and sane. University? I'm not so sure anymore. Especially given that Herculean, it will take Hercules to lift the debt, to carry the debt that many have to incur through education these days. Is it worth it? I don't know. Was it worth it to me to get a formal education? You bet. That's where I met the people that formed my early mind. That's where my imagination and my thoughts were. My intellectual side was, blowing on the embers there during that period. So yeah, it was worth it for me. Fortunately, it was cheap, so it wasn't so bad. Can't answer the question for you, except to say that I guess more a matter of what mind you have for every step, and carrying a sense of acceptance that what's happening at the time may look different in hindsight. That you experiencing at the time, whether it's a success or the failure, may yield a different result later on. And then just proceed and begin to step, like here. Going off the stuff here, you're young, you're about to take a step, first step, wherever that is. And then the next step is different type of terrain, maybe not as stable. Here's a nice firm one, kind of low steps, an easy going point for a little bit. And then a heck of a climb right there up to something interesting and different. That'll be your life, and whatever path you take, it'll be going somewhere until you're not going anywhere. And I would recommend just starting those steps and heeding your instinct, what I call the path of wildness. And in the end, you'll wind up where you will. Try to smile a little bit, not take things too seriously, and love the people that you can, and that you make connections with along the way. I guess that's as worthy a job, worthy a career as any, huh? Just to live the life, and when you can, hold on to the rail. When you can't, balance as much as you can. Good luck, my friend. See ya.